So I'm still in that same database I was in the end of the last video, and let's now use that aggregate framework. We use it in a very simple way. Instead of running find on persons or find one, we now run aggregate. And we already saw this one time in this course already with lookup in the schemas and relations module. The aggregate method takes an array, and it takes an array because we define a series of steps that should be run on our data. The first step will receive the entire data right from the collection, you could say, and the next step can then do something with the data returned by the first step, and so on. Now, one important piece of information: aggregate does not go ahead, fetch all the data from the database, and then give it to you and then do something on it. Of course, the first step runs on the database and can take advantage of indexes. So if you filter in the first step or you sort there, you can take advantage of your indexes. So you don't have to fetch all the documents just because you're using aggregate. Aggregate, as find, executes on the MongoDB server and therefore can take advantages of things like indexes, and it will. So what could be a first step that we run? Now, to make this a bit easier to read, I will type this in multiple lines by not closing that expression immediately. And the first step is then a document. Every step is a document, I should say. Now, the first step here could be a match phase. And match essentially is just a filtering step. So you define some criteria on which you want to filter your data in that person's collection. Now you can filter here in the same way you can filter in find. So all the things you learned there on how you can query documents, how you can match for greater than values, and so on applies here too. So what we could do here is we could, for example, and if we have a look at our data structure again, we could, for example, look at females only. So to do that, let's simply add a condition here where we say gender should be equal to female. Now we can already finish our pipeline at this point if we want to. We can close the square brackets around our stages and close the parentheses of aggregate. And I get back a cursor here. You can tell by the fact that I see type IT here too. So just like the find method, the aggregate method returns a cursor. So you have to use it as you use the cursor returned by the find method in your application. Besides that, we can also pretty print that. And now see, well, some results at least, of the results we fetched, and we should only see females in there. This was, of course, only one step, the match step. And the match step is not that exciting because there we, as I said, query in exactly the same way we can query in the find method, or we filter in the same way, I should say. More interesting is the group stage. So let's take a look at that in the next lecture.